Are we back? Is it working? Is the button actually working now? How does... See, here's a problem. They just changed chat and everything. It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah, Ripperoni. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry this happens. I hate YouTube. I hate YouTube. No, I mean, I love our corporate overlords at Google. The corporate overlords at Google are my absolute favorite people. NFTs can do no wrong. Oh. How does this work? Stream cannot be accessed if you do a thing. Oh well, now that the post is out there, does that mean it's going to be up there forever? Because every YouTube stream is a different link, right? Maybe? No. No, yeah. All right. Hopefully everything is working now. Yes, everything is actually working now. Ha! Alright, let's pretend the last hour didn't happen. I mean, you weren't even there for it, so you can pretend the last hour didn't happen. That's right. Only the most professional enjoyment going on here. The comments are not up to date, so I actually do need to get the comments up to speed. But once comments are up to speed, we are back, and the link is different because YouTube is weird. All right, there we go, boom. And of course, like everything, it's like they give you all of this like all of this information, and it's like it doesn't help at all. All right, let's actually go through some of the cool stuff that people miss. So I'm gonna redo everything all over again. I'm gonna speed run this in the next hour and a half. I'm gonna try to do as much as I can. Make up for missed time. All right, let's put it that way. Make up for missed time. So what we need to do is if I go to, yeah, okay, everything, I'm just paranoidly checking to make sure everything's working. So desktop time, yeah, I actually do have this. I'm sorry, comments aren't even showing. You know, I was actually considering, I don't know how worth it is, but I did download that live captions thing from GNOME Circle. I love how good we can get GNOME correctly because it's just reading off of like whatever this autocorrect speech is. You know, if I was the real pro, I would do this because it is actually pretty cool. But again, it's like if I was going to do this, I need to probably set up GNOME captions on a different computer and just capture all of that. That's actually what I do for my likeness, because I actually have to do it all. Okay, I'm not gonna let's not do captions. It's a little annoying. All right, so oh, not my background music. Oh, maybe my background music. Yeah. All right, here's what you do for background music, kids. I actually have a script which will do this for me. By that, I mean I just literally do a thing which just plays music. Oh my gosh, look at all that music playing. All right, let's do documents. So in my documents folder, I do have my website. Watch this. All right, this is some fun with static websites. I will freely admit I'm not a pro when it comes to static websites. It quite literally is just like, oh whoops, don't look at those. Oh my gosh, I'm leaking everything. Yeah, so with how does this work? How do you do this? Yeah, new window. There we go. New window. You go here. Brave, be quiet. Wait, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Come back. Oh, that's what happened. All right. Okay, here we go. Gonna do Hugo. Go, no, that's Go Hugo. Yeah, Hugo. Hugo is a place where you go and you build websites. Hugo is a funny thing. Now what I need to do is I need to actually go here and so if you go to your directory, so it's whatever directory you download your website in. I thought I had Ranger. Come on, there we go. You go to your directory where you have everything installed. So I actually have it in this directory here. And what you want to do is you actually have everything set up, and it needs to be the folder with this thing. I haven't quite figured this out yet. I still need to like tweak some of the things in here. Like they're like Google Analytics. Haha, what a joke. In fact, I'm pretty sure like most performance on most websites or whatever is tanked because if you use like Google Analytics. What the heck? Elon Musk favorited my tweet. Oh wow, I love that spam is rampant on these things. Let's actually change that because that's wrong. And then I'm gonna Twitter. I have to delete the stuff of Twitter now, don't I? Lovely. I love everything. All right, no, I need to actually just do this. So here's how this works. Make sure you're in the folder where everything is, and then what you do is you just do Hugo server. Now what this basically does is this starts a web server where you can access your static website, and your static website is just built on the fly out of Markdown. There's a bunch of others, like I know there's like Jekyll, which is in Ruby. It's written over there. Haha. What? Oh, thank you. Haha. You should just do the WW. That's what I do. But yes, we're fixed now. Yes, we're fixed now. That's how this works. And then what you do is make sure everything's running. Then they pop open this web server here. And with this web server, you can actually go and set up a thing. And I am like suffering here. All right, so you make sure you go do your thing. So you do Hugo. Nope, it's in my other browser. Going to nope. 27.0.0.1 13.13, or is it just no? You just do localhost because that's the localhost 13.13. Okay, there we go. And then you get the big list of all of them articles. Ooh, woo. Haha, Twitter, yeah. What a joke. Oh, by the way, you want to know what's really a joke? This is gonna get me banned off of Twitter. You go to Twitter's GitHub, because this was a thing that happened, and they released it on the worst day possible. The day that literally everyone lies to everyone. Like, they released their algorithm the day everyone lies to everyone. April 1st. It's like, I mean, obviously we know what day it is, but look at these simps. 30,000 stars. 30,000 stars. It's like, there is no way these people read this, like this entire algorithm. They're just starring it because they're like, ooh, Twitter. It's like, why? There is no way anyone read this. This was literally updated like today. It's like, how can people star this? Insanity. Utter insanity. Great. There's my little side tangent. That describes the whole thing in a nutshell. It's like, people are stupid. No, I shouldn't say that. I'm going to get demonetized. People, just use your head a little bit, okay? It's like, it's not there for your why did you just start it? It's like, what does that get you? Is it just to encourage Twitter to do more of it in the future? We don't actually know if it's just gonna be like, what if they're like Nvidia, right? What if Twitter is like Nvidia, and Nvidia will just upload source code to their GitHub and then not update it at all, like from the day they upload it? So it's basically like open source, but it's really like fake open source. And then it's like, because like they'll do some things like CUDA, like some CUDA development stuff, but then there's stuff like some of their like machine learning algorithms that they do absolutely nothing with. And frankly, it's depressing. And I'm sorry if there's a delay with chat, because I can't actually, because like, again, this is how YouTube works. It's like they don't do everything in real time. What do you mean Twitch.tv figured out how to do live chatting properly? See, funny guys, I don't even watch Twitch TV, and yet there are like all the Zoomers that I know are just like, they talk to each other in like those weird Pepe emotes, and it's like, I don't even know which one it is. It's like, I don't know. what are they called? What are can someone tell me like what those emotes are actually called? Like, I do need to actually figure out what those emotes are called. But we also have the website. Let's just, all right, I'm completely off base here. All right, we're gonna do the website. Let's do the website. So if the website, you get all of this stuff, and the idea is this is sort of supposed to be like a hub where you can go and find like videos. And when you go to the website, I actually list every single platform. It's not really consistent because like I do own some platforms which I don't list here. Like, for example, yeah, I have a Discord which I have used, but like I cannot tell you how annoying it was to set up that Discord. All right, here's what you do. Here's what you do to set up your Discord account like a pro. All right, you get a phone, like a cheap Android phone from like, I don't know, like Dollar General. No, wait, Dollar General doesn't sell Android phones. Just go to Target or something, get a cheap Android phone. And then what you do is you take your Android phone. Oh, Ranson says hi. Ha! Oh, you're doing this too? Are you on every Linux YouTuber's live stream? Oh, thank you. So the thing is about am I? You kind of are. You kind of are. I mean, as someone who's only watched one live stream from another Linux channel, you were on that one, and that was that Ren's or Brody's? I forget who. Maybe it was Brody's. I totally forget. I think no, I've only watched like, I don't know when. I'd have to look it up, but I don't remember when DistroTube does his live streams, but like he does them at very inopportune times for me. Always on Brody's, then Chris's. Yeah, so PFP. Wait, what's PFP? All right, guys, let's show off. Let's be a show off. I actually wrote this because I'm such an old man. Here's what you do. If I actually have a script which lets me search the Urban Dictionary. Yes, the Urban Dictionary, everyone's favorite adult website. That isn't, you know, Cornhub. So we have the Urban Dictionary, and this script, I actually got to just use JQ to parse the Urban Dictionary's API profile pic. Oh, wait, profile's not PFP and F? What is this, PF Chang's? What a joke. PFP. So if you want to look up any term you want, so you do PFP. Watch this. Boom. PFP, profile picture. You look like a rat in your profile picture. And what this does is this actually scans the Urban Dictionary's API. I forget what the URL is, but it's basically the API is the Urban Dictionary's. The Urban Dictionary's API is public. Yeah. API to urbandictionary.com version 0. I don't particularly like the acronym. I just got used to it. Well, that is how it is, isn't it? And then what you can do is you can look for, and specifically what I try to grab is the word, the definition, and an example, because let's be real, that's all people go to the Urban Dictionary to look for. And I forget what all of these do, but I think I basically did this to clean up the output, because the output, instead of indenting the output, they still do /n. Like, it's just /n, like raw out in the thing, because their system is smart enough to convert the API into a static website. I love JQ. The one thing that bothers me about JQ is I still don't know how all of it works, but I'm pretty sure most people who use JQ don't know how it works. But this is like the only JQ thing that I have, and it's really bare bones. What should we just call them? PP? No. I don't know. Just say bio. You know, is that what people do? Like, I struggle to get interested in DistroTube streams, particularly his old patron chat ones, because they're also old. I mean, like, stay interested. I mean, he has his own audience, okay, and I don't want to knock that, because like there is people for that. Let me say I know people with worse live streams who aren't in technology, by the way, and like DistroTube should be proud that he has an audience that size, especially on YouTube, I think, because like on YouTube it's like live streaming on YouTube is just so jank. Anyone who was around in the last hour knows how jank it was on like on my thing. But it's like, yeah, YouTube live streaming has got a long way to go. But what are you going to do? Go to Twitch and watch them take 70% of your revenue? Yeah, no thank you. It's like, there's a place for old people too. Don't be ageist. There's a place for old people. I know I'm not I would like to think I'm not exactly old, but I cry about that every day when my back hurts when I wake up. Now, fun. So basically, yeah, I have a thing that browses the Urban Dictionary. It's not fancy. It is what it is. So I have a website. The website is not public. It is purely static. I haven't quite figured out what the best way to go about doing this is, because with this thing here, it's actually, I've split up my work as a way. Haha, boomer. I'm not a boomer. Believe it or not, guys. I think this is nothing against DT. I'm just not. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I would argue I'm not the audience of his streams either, because like he streams at such inopportune times. I'm never watching it live. I always watch it like a week after the fact, because there's that tab in live stream. I think no. YouTube's RSS feeds will alert you when someone does a live stream, but it's just like I never watch it until like long after the fact. I want to do a video on that sometime, on how I actually like am able to like listen to so much all at once. But you do need to have like a modicum of like a somewhat modern car. Okay, maybe not a modern car. That's not the right word to put it. You don't need to have all the spyware subscription garbage that's in cars today. You could even do this, I think, if you had like an old MP3 player or BlackBerry. You could definitely accomplish what I want to do for that video. But like, or no, you could even just have like, there are some Bluetooth speakers that like do the thing. You're just not using the Bluetooth capability. I mean, I learned that there's like Bluetooth pressure sensors in like car tires. I can easily connect with Brody and Ren because I can talk about gaming and weeaboos with them, besides tech topics of weeaboos. Oh my gosh. Guys, I actually don't know much about anime. If you ever see me use it, it's because I know roughly what's popular, but I don't actually know what is relevant. I actually haven't watched it. Like, I did get one question. No one emailed it to me. I did get it asked in a comment. I think it was like, what is your favorite anime? My favorite anime, by the way, is like, it is like the worst anime ever. Actually, that's not true. I've seen some pretty bad anime. Like, if you want to see, like, I remember like I think I have a soft spot for like the anime of like the 90s and the early 2000s. I think a lot of people, like especially Brody's age, have the nostalgia because that's when they were kids. But then you're like me, and you're wondering, you've drummed it up long enough. What's your favorite anime? My favorite anime, I think I've mentioned it in a video before. It was a video long before people even knew who I was. It was like the video. My favorite anime is YuGiOh. It's the worst anime ever. It is literally an anime dedicated to literal loot boxes, by the way, because that's what trading cards are. They're just loot boxes. People get so mad about like loot boxes in video games, and it's like, but why didn't they get mad at trading cards? You know, the OG loot box in gaming. It's like, nope. No one says anything about loot boxes. YuGiOh isn't that, but it is though. Like when you go back to like 97 when it was like first published in Jump, like it's a lot older than a lot of other things. And like the only reason I like it too is because like it was shafted. That show was shafted by like the cartoony, like the cartoon TV, Cartoon Network or whatever. They got like 4Kids and whatever that show network channel was called in TV. They got shafted by them, and then like the dub is basically now paraded around for free online. But like the original 4Kids, but that's not the channel, that's a studio. That's the American studio, and it basically got shafted because the the dub is like totally wrong. I mentioned that in one video. The dub of Yu-Gi-Oh is like completely wrong. Like you do a cross watch of like scene by scene, and it's like the characters are saying completely different things. It's not even like equivalent. I remember looking up episode guides that show, and things were really censored in the dub. It was crazy. Yeah, believe it or not, here's why I still like it's still censored to this day. That's what's even more messed up. That censorship, even though 4Kids was kicked out in 2012 or something, this show is still censored to this day because they think that's what is supposed to happen. I did try watching the newer ones. I think it was YuGiOh 7s was when I stopped, because the reason why I had such a soft spot for it was because I liked, for all the wrong reasons, I liked the studio that did Yu-Gi-Oh! Studio Gallop. For all the wrong reasons, because their animation is kind of I gave up after season 1 of GX. Hey, season 1 of GX was definitely an acquired taste. What, you didn't like the part where they basically just have random people just like they duel just random people for like the end of the world? Like, hey, look, we have a guy in a mask and you're gonna duel him in a volcano. Oh, okay. We have a vampire. Yes, a literal vampire. Yeah, okay. We have a lady, but she's also an Amazon lady, but she's also a tiger. Oh, okay. And it's just random stuff like that. But that's why I loved like Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think one thing that I think people miss is like after the original series, you know, the one of Yugi, Duel Monsters, like the one after that, they basically made up the plot. The plot was made up by the Studio Gallop made up the plot. Not only did they make up the plot, they did the art and they did the story and everything. And it was like, wow. Imagine imagine starting from scratch to make a show. And like the fact that like Yu-Gi-Oh maintains consistent quality, but the show's animation is bad. It's really bad. Take a shot every time you see like a recycled shot from the show. It's like, you think I get mad at like Apple every time you see like a cut in an Apple event? It's like, take a shot in Yu-Gi-Oh every time you see like a recycled shot from a previous episode. Like, you will get sick of watching like Sparkman shoot the lasers out of his hands. Like, you'll see that a lot. Or like in Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds, you'll see the same shot of like the same person drawing. Yeah, I'm not gonna talk. All right, sorry, this is such a big tangent. I can't. Once I get started on Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like I'm gonna be stuck doing it forever. Articles. And the idea is you can actually wait, what the heck was this? OBS disconnected. Now it's reconnected. The version of Yu-Gi-Oh! The Untitled in my country is mostly censored. That's actually not true. I think even the Asian Yu-Gi-Oh! Was also like really censored. The non-Japanese one was also really censored because 4Kids was in charge of the distribution. I think the Chinese one, the Chinese or the Filipino one, was also like really censored. All right. So it basically is like a full-on description of everything I talked about in the video, just in written form. So you can actually just go and copy paste. One thing I actually really like about this template is you can actually just click and it just uses a thing of JavaScript to copy text, which is really nice. So if you go into like a new thing and paste it, it's like it pastes the text. It's pretty cool. And it's basically a description. It's not quite the same. It's like you kind of do have to watch the video if you need help. But there's a problem with the system, because like this is sort of everything I said in the video. It's not exactly what I said. You might get a few little extras in here, but there's a few, it's mostly what I said in the video, so it's kind of repeat content. Oh yeah, I still haven't gotten this to work properly. At least not on Alpine. And then someone did say Alpine's packages are really buggy, and it's like, yeah, this is why you use Flatpak, because like Alpine's packages are maintained by community people. Actually, does Nathaniel maintain Alpine's community packages? I don't actually know. Nathaniel Kappa, he's one of the main people at Alpine. But the one thing I want to do is I need to learn how to use JavaScript. Like, I need to actually learn how to write JavaScript, because like I actually don't know JavaScript at all. Like, what I need to do is I need to write a thing which loads YouTube videos, generated YouTube videos, as DOM content, so that you can click to load a YouTube or Odyssey video. That's the idea, because I want people to have as much freedom as they can, because like because I value my privacy. Okay, I value my privacy, and I do have to say that I want to give people that choice. Like, give people that choice. Like, don't, like, I don't want to like impose on people, because that's the problem with the current version of this and why I haven't put it up. There's multiple problems with this version, and it has nothing to do with the actual site itself. The actual site's fine. I do want to use some CSS to style it up a little bit, but I do want to make it so all videos are quick to load. What's I miss after the YuGiOh talk? Not really much. I'm capable of pretending to know about JavaScript. I don't know anything about JavaScript. I mean, I know some basic stuff. I actually do have a few. If I go to my main browser is still Firefox. So if you go to like a browser, not that one. If you go to, oh, I forget what it is. Yeah, this one, JS. I actually do have various JavaScript bookmarklets. My favorite ones are like these, and ones that get you to the Wayback Machine. So in Firefox, I'm enough to trick people into thinking I'm a developer. You mean normal people? If you say normal people, I would say, yeah, me too. You know what? I should just, it's like, imagine, yeah. I just play dumb. When I'm at work, I just play dumb. I'm just like, what is this DMG file? What do I do with this? How do you install this? I don't know what this is. Or like, you basically just play stupid. I just play stupid. I'll admit that my job is not, it's pretty quiet. I am not a developer. I don't do professional development. Normal people consider any sort of code to be magic. I mean, is HTML, I mean, I guess if you said like, hey, you know, open HTML, is this magic? It is in a way. Is this site going to be mostly a blog? Probably not. It's probably just going to be like carbon copy of like transcripted videos. Where do you work then? I would prefer not to say. I think I try to keep that sort of stuff on the down low. I'll tell you right now, I don't do anything related to this whole technology. Hello, FBI. Yeah, I don't do any of this whole technology stuff for my job. Honestly, I would probably game end myself if I had to do this for my job. I haven't tried to pursue. I've considered it because I think I did buy a couple years ago. What about commenting engines? Yeah, I probably not. Like, because like those commenting engines are really bloated, and as someone who, like, when I visit a lot of those websites, like say like you know like discuss with a Q, like they're one of those things that I'm just like, this is just bloat, and I don't want to include this in my thing because like it's kind of gross, and it also just eats up a lot of space on the website's loading time, because that's another thing that really peeves me. It's like, I want one of the things too about these comment networks is they do like harvest a lot of information about their user base. So like you can't just like use these comment things, and it's like, as a result, and also like, what do I do when people start posting like corn in my comments? It's like, what am I gonna do? Like, I can't, I don't want to deal with that. It's like, I've seen what's happened to like, and I'm also just one guy. I don't have like forums. Like, I don't have forums, but like I've seen like people who like set up forums have like all sorts of problems with them. It's like, heck, even look at like a lot of the big Linux distributions like with forums, and then like look at what's happened to them. Like Manjaro has had the certificate. I mean, Manjaro is a whole different thing altogether, but like watching their certificate expire on their forum because like they didn't like update it or whatever is a problem. But then there's also things like the Linux Mint forums. And the Linux Mint I think they got their forms hacked like it was a really long time ago though. It was like 9 years ago. Like they got their forms hacked or something. Because like some attacker was just, I think it was a targeted attack. Linux Mint's been subject, and then the attacker also like modified the ISO images for like 3 hours. And I mean, at least it was like a moron who like made it so like the Linux Mint was crypto mining people. Have you ever tried out Jekyll? I have considered Jekyll, but I think the reason I started using YuGiOh was because it's written out of Go and not Ruby. But do I actually? No. I look, I'm just picking, like, I looked at like a lot of like I look for like what's commonly used. And with what's commonly used, I feel like YuGiOh, look, I know it's already a meme that like every Linux YouTuber now is using YuGiOh to make their websites. Like I can throw like Chris Titus and Luke under the bus for like using like a static website, but there's a reason why like they use it, because it works really well. I'm not against Jekyll. I just haven't used it. I haven't given it a fair shot. Let's say that. I haven't given it a fair shot. Yeah, Zola was the other one. Didn't like Bugswriter say he was using Zola or something? I forget what he said he was using. It's something like that. But like, yeah, I'm not. The thing is, I took an off-the-shelf template. This is PaperMod. Is this PaperMod? What is it called? Yeah, PaperMod. That's the dude. No, the dude is oh, Indian names. Aditya Telange. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced it. Aditya Telange. Okay, there we go. It's when I see it with a space in it, I can read it. Yeah, I learned about Zola from Bugswriter. Yeah, I vaguely remember him making a video about that a long time ago. This is the theme. This is a meme theme. It's pretty much been circulated throughout a lot of people. Just because it has the light and dark mode. Of course, guys, I will never subject you to view my website in dark mode, in light mode, but it's dark mode by default, but you can get light mode if you click a button. That is the one nicety. I think isn't there like some Jekyll templates that let you do dark mode as well, dark mode and light mode too, like with a toggle? I'm pretty sure there is. There has to be. I'm confident of it. I feel like I've read like two websites that had one just like it. Oh, my eyes. Yeah. Oh yeah, because I'm not signed to GitHub. That's why it's not doing dark mode. That's sort of how I know. Like I don't sign into accounts really. He blasphemy. Yeah, dark. There are. Yeah, I'm not crazy. Look, if you can do it in Hugo, you must be able to do it in like one of those other builders. Maybe not Zola, because Zola is so simple. But yeah, I know it can happen. I know it's possible. But this is basically what it is. It's just a bunch of ways for me to do it. There are some I went like really crazy in here, and I probably shouldn't have went really crazy. So like, for example, I think it was, this was cut content. Yeah, the video is private because it's cut content. It should actually be like the video, there's a video on my second channel where I complained about snaps for like, I think it ended up being like 30 minutes, but I cut it down to be like 8 minutes because it was like, most of it was just not relevant. And most of it was my friend complaining. Rust fanboys love Zola. I don't have a strong feeling about languages, but I will take a memory safe one if I can. This is actually a full-on guide on how to, I think this is how to get snap parallel installs and snaps. So like if you can install multiple versions of I don't know if many people watched this video. I can guarantee most people on my channel didn't watch this video, but it's like because it's on my second channel, it's with snaps, you can install multiple versions of programs through snaps. But here's a problem. I thought you could add multiple icons, but the problem is with multiple icons is I think there was something that changed in Snap, so this doesn't work anymore, and that got me really triggered. And then I just didn't resume doing this. There has to be a better way to do this, because I'm pretty sure you can just symlink like the snap. So if you did like bitwarden, like the executable for the second bitwarden is bitwarden_1. So you do bitwarden_1 in a .desktop file, and then give that .desktop a different icon. I think I just went through a too convoluted of a solution to like do all of this. So maybe I should actually revisit this sometime in the future, but needless to say, I was not happy I hate Canonical. Let's say that I hate Canonical. Okay, I don't hate Canonical. That's another thing. It's like I feel like a lot of people aren't fair to them. But I also feel like, yeah, Canonical also does some pretty boneheaded things. I think I view Canonical the same way I do like Mozilla. Like I understand and appreciate the work that Mozilla does, but at the same time, like Mozilla is kind of deplorable. Yeah, I did actually try writing a website by hand and I hated it. I did actually have like the CSS for it going and everything, but it was a pain. I hated writing HTML by hand. I did it in like 2012. I figured as like a challenge, I would be like, oh, why don't I make my own like website or whatever, you know, like it's 10 years too late. Like, oh, let's write a website. And then I did. It was okay, but it was definitely like, you know, like the late 1990s, early 2000s, like pale blue, like Netscape and IE websites that you'd see everywhere. I believe in pipelines. It's not important what you make your website with. I agree. It really depends on workflow. Just stuffs are mostly ignored, the important stuff. Believe in pipelines. I mean, I still don't know how GitLab CI pipelines work. I spent like 8 hours on it, and I can't learn your thing in 8 hours. I really question how like it's so annoying. Like one of the problems was when I tried sorting Blender, and I do have to use Blender for certain things. Like I began to like get really upset because like Blender guarantees that like you need to have like a number pad, but I don't have a number pad. Like my number pad doesn't exist because my keyboard doesn't have one. I'm a minimalist. My keyboard doesn't have a number pad, but they require it for certain hotkeys when you're moving objects around. And it's like, this is so cringe. And let's be real, guys. Let's be real. We all know most creators are using Macs, and Magic keyboards and Apple laptops don't have number pads. What a joke. Blender, why do you think people are gonna... Look, I appreciate your work. I know you're the gold standard for like what you do. But if you expect people to have number pads, especially when they're all Zoomers with like Apple computers, it's like, yeah, that is not going to happen. Not going to happen at all. It is totally unreasonable to expect people to do this whole Blender thing. I do need to be more dedicated for it. That should just be like a patron video. The patron video is just going to be me fumbling over, like watching people's Blender tutorials. I did watch like one video of someone like who tried learning like Blender in like a week, and it was like, then she was able to create like a bunch of cool stuff afterwards. I'm like, oh, maybe I should do that. Then I can make my animations better. My animations right now, it's like, because I'm really good at 2D art and 2D graphic design. I am not good at like the three-dimensional. The three-dimensional is too much for me. I wonder what percentages of Apple users use a different keyboard. It's because it's not the again, tyranny of the default. If it's not the default, it's not going to be a lot of people. And that's with a lot of things. It's like, how many people, like, I can say this for my office place. How many people choose? I mean, like, the only exception is like something which is like so bad that people want an alternative. Like on Windows, like I can think of like a million things on Windows where it's like people will try to install something different because it's so bad. Like there's stuff like Microsoft Edge. Okay, Microsoft Edge, as much as I give Microsoft crap, like Microsoft Edge, especially if your company forces you to be in the Microsoft ecosystem, like I don't see a crime in using Microsoft Edge. And Microsoft Edge, you can use the Windows sandbox, which is also a huge plus, which you don't get on non-Windows systems. But I mean, why would you be using Microsoft Edge on something that isn't Windows? Like, but like Microsoft Edge is fine. In fact, I'm pretty sure Chromium and Brave do pull from the Chromium browser and the raw Chromium browser from Edge because it's built into Windows. Hey, you need it. It's always being replaced by Chrome. Yeah, that is literally Microsoft Edge in a nutshell. Because everyone I know is like, oh, we should just install Chrome, and it's like, look, but now I'm starting to sympathize with those people who do that now, because it's like they're doing it because of like the old Trident-based Microsoft Edge and like IE being so bad. Like that's what I remember, like when the default was like, yeah, let's install Netscape or Firefox. Like, and now it's become, and like since like 2012, it's been like, oh, Google Chrome's a thing, so let's just download Chrome. Like, the Internet Explorer stigma is too strong. Like, everyone hated it. That's why. Like, that's imagine if your default is so bad that people try to replace it. That's basically what it is. And Apple and Microsoft succeeded at this because Safari is so bad, and like QuickTime and like movies on Windows, the movies UWP app are so bad that people just download VLC or something to replace it because it's so bad. Like, people like in the movies app can play these things. It's not like it doesn't have like some of these codecs. It can do it. The problem is it's just so bad that people just try to avoid it. And that's why people just download VLC. Like, that's why VLC has become the de facto default, the de facto like gold standard of video players. Even if like things like MPV exist, when in reality, like most normal people, when they're using Windows or Mac, like they just go to download VLC. I mean, like Mac has like IINA, but on Windows, using MPV is kind of a pain because you have to use PowerShell or something. It's not fun on Windows. Like with many things, like things are better on Mac than they are on Windows. But it is what it is. Does VLC have that status? I think you might stick to MPV, but I'd say most normies just default download VLC. Like, especially like if you look at like content creators or online, it's like even they use VLC. Like, I know people in my workplace who have just installed VLC. Like, because they're just convinced that, like, they still think we're in the days of, like, Windows Media Player and it won't play all of their files. And, like, that's why they use VLC. And with VLC, it's not a bad program. I think it's a great program. I think VLC, at least VLC wasn't hostile to GNOME, especially on Linux. That's another thing. I still don't use it, though. Totally my fault. I'm not saying it's impossible to use MPV on Windows. It's just not as... there's no front end for it, so it's not as fun. And yeah, VLC has a lot of more convenient GUI features. Yeah, that is a thing that I've always did feel that about VLC. And I think... Oh, VLC... What VLC has that MPV doesn't? Visualizations. I remember like being enchanted by Windows Media Player having those like visualizations. I probably got more out of like the one like in VLC. It has the same as a copycat one where it's like it has like the bars that bob up and down. That was my personal favorite. VLC and iOS. I actually haven't had that experience of VLC and iOS, but I only play like specific types of files on iOS. Yeah, then the visualizations become more distracting, and then I realized like having like having the output not be there with MPV was actually an improvement. So writing in my config to remove the output was more necessary. What's the other oh yeah, Photos. The Photos app in Windows is just unacceptable. Like, it takes like an eternity to open your files. It's now become default that I just install Image Glass on people's computers because it's like, yeah, you can't open your photos at all. It's like you wait like a solid minute to open like one photo. And sure, it will open up a little. The UWP Photos app will open up a lot faster when you open it the second time. But it's so bad. You know what I'm really excited for is I can't wait for the UWP Image Glass. I want to see what that looks like. Because, like, I like the concept of UWP. I just wish it wasn't, like, so cumbersome for people. Is Image Glass popular or something you found out about? I found out about it myself. I don't know if it was popular, but it given the GitHub page, it was people liked it. HVEC encoding is on a paywall on Windows. I'm pretty sure it's a paywall. No, it's not a paywall on Mac, but I think it's because Microsoft doesn't pay the toll to the company in Colorado who owns everything. No, they just own H.264. There's a different company that owns HEVC. I don't know any Windows user who replaces the Photos app, I'll be honest. That's something I do to people because they're like, well, it's a tangible, it's like a tangible improvement people see. Because that's like, if it's a tangible improvement that people see, then I say, oh yes, then I can get behind doing it. Like, tangible improvements, like, that actually, like, they can see a difference. You know, it's like, you can't convince a normie to upgrade their computer because that's too much money. But if you convince them to buy an SSD and reinstall Windows or Linux on it, and they're like, wow, my computer is so much faster now. And it's because an SSD does actually make a lot of difference. Or NVMe? Yeah, because NVMe is the new thing now. It's the new hotness. Do you want me to tell you something funny? This is actually a comment that I got. I did show this before I realized my stream was broken. All right, let me show you guys something. This is actually really, this is interesting. So I ignore the website. We're not dealing with that right now. So if the, with this right here, so this is Ardex. Let me tell you, I had to actually dig really deep into, oh, come on. I had to dig really deep into, it's ardexlinux.org. Okay. So I went to Ardex's website. By the way, like I said in the video, Ardex, whoever made the Ardex website needs to get their eyes checked. Anything that isn't spinning Rust is an upgrade, even if it's only eMMC. I agree. I do have eMMC, and it does still run a lot better than spinning Rust. As someone who stores all of his memory on spinning Rust and was too cheap to buy, like, hard drives. Hard drives? I mean, like, because I still use hard drives for, like, everything. Like, I do use SSDs when I first built my computer. Because I did get, a Samsung SSD for my current computer. Did I buy big enough? No, but I never have gone over. I have never been close to going over, especially when I combine my additional storage with it. Okay, Ardex. Fun part about Ardex. Ardex's website is, whoever made this website, I'm maybe you need to get a psychiatric test. And then we have their downloads page. Granted, their downloads page, unlike Debian, their downloads is an easier place for you to find it. So fine, whatever. And then we also have this, but here's the problem. I couldn't figure, I mean, I know they have like the base installer, which is where I believe you just do the normal Arch install, but with Ardex. But I think the thing that disturbed me most about this when I was looking into this was the text contrast is terrible. I mean, have you seen the homepage's text contrast is horrendous. I think this is not this picture, but the one with the blue and the white. Yeah, like this. It's like, it's not good. It's definitely from like 15 years ago. And then they give you a bunch of ISOs. So I dug deep into the servers of Ardex Linux looking for which CD, and I saw all of these. We got like, so, and I just wanted to pick like a decent like community like ISO because like I just wanted something quick to get going, and obviously it's endorsed by Ardex, so like that's something to go on. So I looked at all of these, and guys, as we all know, when you look at any of these ISOs, you need to always pick one with the latest and greatest stuff. So as we all know, which, just ask yourself this question first, because this will tell you everything you need to know. Which one of these supports Wayland? The answer is only this one. So you can only use Plasma if you're only going to just download a raw ISO. You want content ideas? Make a distro website tier list. You know, I actually rate Debian higher on the tier list. Actually, there might be on the same level of tier list because it's harder to get like the real ISO images. That might change when Debian 12 rolls, when Bookworm rolls around. When Bookworm rolls around, it'll be a lot easier because you don't have to go hunting for that non-free CD anymore. Doesn't mean their website will get any better. I brag on Debian a lot, but I really like Debian's wiki. Debian's wiki has saved my butt a couple of times, especially in my early days of Linux. Debian's wiki saved my butt a lot. So I downloaded the Plasma ISO. And the Plasma ISO, like, you don't support Wayland. It's the only one that supports Wayland, so instantly all these other ones are out the door. I know LXQT and XRCE pledged to support Wayland, but, like, I'll be honest, guys, we all know that you don't support Wayland. It's like, right now, it's like, you're donezo. It's like anyone who says, like, Wayland doesn't work is wrong, even though I experienced a million issues. But those issues are NVIDIA issues. They aren't Wayland issues. Like, NVIDIA would still occasionally give me problems like that on, like, Xorg. So, like, it's not even Wayland's fault. It's just NVIDIA. All of my problems are just, like, NVIDIA. That's literally all of my problems. If it wasn't NVIDIA, I would still... What are your opinion of people hosting web pages on their sites on GitLab pages? Now, the reason I'm not doing it is not because GitLab or GitHub pages are bad. It's because I do need to do some stuff. I want to specifically do some things to insulate myself against things that could potentially... Bad things that could potentially happen to content creators. Now, what does that actually translate to? Like, what's the worst thing someone could do to your website? You know this website's going to be public. What's the worst something someone could do to this website? We actually do have one major problem. That one major problem is called the Wayback Machine, where someone uploads my website to the Wayback Machine and then analyzes the content of my website to archive every single little typo I have ever made in history, so they can torment me forever. It's that, or like people who are just out to get me, and it's like they're just going to upload my stuff to Google Cache or the Wayback, or to like the Wayback Machine. Really, you can't. I did write a flag in the meta tags for the website, so you can't. So Google, Yandex, Bing, and Baidu or Brave won't cache my website, because like I don't want cached versions of my website. And then I also need to set up a thing where you have to serve a DMCA request to the Wayback Machine. Like with the Wayback Machine, you need to serve them a DMCA request so they don't archive your website, and then you get your website excluded so they don't save your website forever. And then you have to like permanently block the Wayback Machine's robot in like Apache or Nginx, so like they don't like come back and haunt you. Are you against people archiving your website? I mean, if you're gonna archive my website just by looking at it like a human being, like I can't do anything about that. Like you're just gonna take a screen cap and be done. And it's like, fine, whatever. I'll acknowledge that I can't do anything about that. But I'm doing this because I don't want like people to haunt me for random typos I made in the past, or like things that I've done in the past, and I just don't want that. And I think people should. Are you interested in how all of this works? Well, the problem is how all of this works is you can't do it on GitHub or GitLab pages. You need to because like with the problem with GitHub and GitLab pages is you need to prove to the Wayback Machine, if they harass you, that you own your domain. Which, I mean, you can serve them like the PDF of like the receipt of you buying your domain name, which is whatever. But the problem's not the Wayback Machine. The problem are websites that don't give a crap, like archive.today, or as they're better known on the streets, archive.is, because they don't even listen to these sorts of things, so you just need to flat out block them. And there's also the problem of like Cloudflare, because I don't think you can even set up Cloudflare, because here's another problem. When I open this website, I'm afraid that there's going to be a flood of people who just come and visit it, and then they're going to take the website down. It's either that or robots are going to come and visit the thing and flood me of crypto miners or whatever. And it's like, and if you go to like the contact page on here, I forget where it is, but it's basically, there's a contact page, and the contact page is basically like, if you want my email, go watch my videos. Because like, if you want my email, I'm not going to say it on here because I know it's going to get scraped up by a robot. So you want my email, you can watch my video. It's like, if you can really watch my channel that isn't like those stupid like VPN advertisers or whatever, it's like, if you really want my email, go watch my videos. Then you'll know if I'm friendly for your brand or not. And also, like, I would like to have a guideline, which is just like, you know, let me say whatever I want. It's like, and it also needs to be relevant, so you're not going to be seeing me advertise dumb things like wallets, frozen food, or blankets. It's like, frankly don't understand how people can do that. It's like robots. Yeah, lots of robots. And then there's also, I think, is robots that text in here? Yeah, robots that text is in here. I did actually steal this from Netflix, because Netflix actually has a thing. Can you paste an email as an image? Well, the problem with that is with the advent of AI and robots, there's OCR technology which can potentially look at it, and that's another thing that I'm afraid of, just doing an email as an image. So it's like, but like email as a video, I don't think robots have quite figured out just yet. I mean, like, let's put it this way. Those journalists who got banned by Elon, like, when they uploaded like a video, like that really sketchy Mastodon account or Twitter, or former Twitter account that used to upload, like, or still uploads, like, the location of Elon's jet. It's like, it really makes you question, like, because the journalists were able to get away with it. Two of the journalists got away with it because they said it in a video and not in text or in a picture. And I think that's robot systems haven't quite caught up to video yet. Probably because it's so expensive just to analyze video. Like, we know that it already eats up a lot into Google's pockets just to, like, do things to robots. Like, it's a lot. So with this thing, you basically just allow... Oh, and when I was looking at these search engines, I'm like, what are these search engines? I did know about Naver. I think Naver is Korean. They're South Korean search engine. And then Seznam is a Czech search engine. Yeti, I completely forget what it is. Oh, and Apple, because Applebot, you might... Believe it or not, guys, Apple does have a robot. But this robot is called Siri. So when people request your website, or Siri recommends your website through, like, people who use Siri, that's where Applebot comes in, because Applebot is from Siri. It's so funny. Yeah, Seznam is Czech, and I don't know much about it. I just know it's popular in the Czech Republic. But yeah, the problem with the robots and text file is you can just put whatever you want in here, but it's like people are not obligated to listen to it at all, because like the Wayback Machine did change their policy where they will now just blanket scan everyone's websites and ignore this file because of government websites. Because government websites have this file, and because, you know, by law, government websites are in the US are supposed to be public knowledge. Like, they would let them in. How come Apple wouldn't name their bot Siri? Because Apple, I mean, it's a brand. You gotta reflect the brand in every way. Because, you know, Apple. Yeah, but they don't listen to this file anymore, which is why you need to enforce it through Nginx or Apache. And that's why you can't use GitLab and GitHub. Long story short, this is why you can't use GitHub and GitLab pages. You can't use GitHub and GitLab pages because you can't enforce blocks on specific bots, or use things like Cloudflare or any of those, or like Radware or any of those other DDoS protection services if you use something like GitHub or GitLab pages. And I know that like GitHub and GitLab have been attempted to get their websites taken down like multiple times. Especially GitHub, because I believe GitHub has been subject to like the biggest and the fourth largest like DDoS attacks in history. And they do have Microsoft backing them. And, you know, I give Microsoft a lot of crap, which they 100% deserve. But at least Microsoft's infrastructure engineers like aren't asleep at the wheel. I use Netlify, which is not much better. I think, doesn't Netlify let you do stuff like Cloudflare? They just don't let you do any of the other things from the backend. How do you enforce it through Nginx? You'd use the configuration file. I forget how to do it, but I have to dig through my notes. How are you going to host your website? Probably VPS, because I'm lazy. And that's the other reason why I've tried to keep images low, and why I just embed videos, because I'm a cheapskate. Okay, I'm a big cheapskate. Like, I try to save money at every... I'm thrifty, okay? I try to save money at every turn. And I acknowledge that things could be... I acknowledge that even what I do is not a good solution, because, like, I'm coming to the reality that it is now, like, 7 years later when I first built my computer. And I was lucky, because I built my computer when, like, before Bitcoin mining was popular. And But now with the advent of Windows 11, and soon Windows 11 is going to be forced on people, like, I need to get a new computer, basically. And then this computer would become my streaming computer or something, and not some old laptop that I have sitting nearby, because that's basically what runs my model. There's two types of cheapskates. There are those who say they're thrifty, and those who are broke. I'm the latter kind of. Hey, that's most of Gen Z, right? I think it was most people don't have, most Gen Z either is like really rich or really poor, and it's really, I mean, isn't that all of America? You know, whatever. I shouldn't say that. It's not appropriate. But I do need to get a new computer. It's been an ongoing problem, and I've thought long and hard, and I think I'm just gonna have to. Now the bots will come for sure. Yeah. That's a mistake, me saying anything about crypto. Like, if I just rattle off all of the major cryptocurrencies, and then it's like, ooh, I'm gonna get hacked like Linus Tech Tips did. Yes. The olden days when we were young and blissfully unaware of crypto. I remember when you could just go to like mine Bitcoin and you could just get like hundreds of it, and like no one would do anything about it. But like now it's like you can't even do that. And now we also know like the harms of like cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, where like there's just all sorts of problems. Like there's no fungibility in the transactions. It's completely traceable and transparent. It's arguably, even though Bitcoin can be gained anonymously, arguably using Bitcoin is like, you need to take all sorts of ridiculous measures just to make sure you can use it properly. Like you need to use something like Sparrow Wallet or something, so that like when you mine it, you can actually like mix it so you don't end up like those like protesters on the Canadian border who got their Bitcoin confiscated. And Monero's not perfect either, but like it's still the best thing we have to like, because like the other alternatives that are there like for privacy coin just don't exist. I mean, they sort of do, because there's stuff like Zcash, but like Zcash isn't private by default. So like the user, it's kind of like Bitcoin, like you have to take action to like make it good. And it's like, the point of Monero is it's the default. And it also, Monero doesn't bias itself based on you having a good computer. It's interesting as a theory. Yeah, do not invest in crypto if... I'm not an investor, so I can't give investor advice. I need to say this or YouTube's going to crucify me. I'm not an investor. I don't view crypto as a good thing to make money off of. The only thing that crypto is good for is for taking advantage of an economy that isn't part of like the rest of everything else. That's the only way you can get crypto and use crypto properly, which is just not deal with the chain of like, not deal with like the fiat economy. That's the only way to make crypto work. And I do know places that will like, you can go and buy gift cards. And like, I do pay for a few services, which I can pay through Monero. Like I pay for Proton Mail. You can send you can pay them with Bitcoin, but like there are hidden places where you can get vouchers through like Monero. But there's no point. And don't invest more than $1,000 in crypto. I actually do know someone who works for a hedge fund at for crypto, and they were like he was having a field day when Sam Bankman-Fried was caught doing all of the naughty business. But don't invest more than a couple $100 into it. It's just, otherwise it's just not worth it. It's just it's a cute, like what most people are saying, the comments are saying, it's nice for a few fringe markets, because I do have a few fringe services I can pay for with it. But yeah, that's crypto. I was only paid $1 in crypto ever, but it's fine. I need to actually like just meet people in real life and buy from them, but then I'm worried they're gonna recognize me. Oh no. Yeah, that's another problem. I always worry about that. Where like, if people meet me in real life, will they know like what I do? Because most people all the people I work with don't know what I do. Proton, you mean the email client? I mean, they're kind of more than an email company now. But yeah, they are basically just an email company. Email VPN is what I always knew them as, but their VPN where I live is kind of poopy. I've tried it. It's kind of poopy. It's not. Also, the Linux client of Proton is kind of terrible. Like, it's not great. Email, on the other hand, I'm very positive about Proton as an email provider. I'm actually glad you brought this up, because this is actually going to be a future video. In a future video, I am going to be basically analyzing every single everything people have sent me by Proton Mail. I've actually gotten a ton, and I'm actually going to approve or debunk some of the stuff people sent me. And oh my gosh, boy, do I have some things to say. And it the next client to use the CLI or the GUI one. I don't use either, because like you can't even get access to WireGuard like through the CLI. It's like so bad. I don't even use Proton VPN. It's just, I've given up. Like I can't recommend Proton VPN if you're, I just can't recommend Proton VPN if you're a major Linux user. It's just, I'm sorry, it's just not usable. Like, and it's just, there are just better providers out there who have done it for a long time. Heck, it's just not worth it. I've tried, okay? I gave them a fair shot. I tried. But like the thing crashes all the time. Still doesn't support Wayland. It like is also kind of hacky, and it's like, and sometimes it like crashes, and I'm like, yeah, maybe this is not great. All right. The heck else was I gonna do? Oh yeah, Ardex. Remember Ardex? Crap. Okay, Ardex. Fun time with Ardex. All right, this is one of the things. Gotta go. Good luck. Okay, thank you for coming along. All right, so this is Ardex. You know, Ardex. Everyone knows Ardex, right? You know, Ardex Linux. So this is the login page. Again, just like the website makes me want to game end myself, but or like throw myself off of a bridge, you know, to land on cushions. But like it's really bad. It's really bad. It's like, what is it? I actually don't know what their display manager here is. Is it like SDDM? Is it like just some themed SDDM? I'm not quite sure. But here's what tipped me off that something was off. Okay, X11 on Plasma. Huh? What? In our Lord's year of 2023, you're still shipping me X11 on KDE? What a joke. Unbelievable. And then, I mean, they have a nice splash screen. I mean, most distros don't even bother making a splash screen for their KDE spins, I'll be honest. Fedora definitely didn't. Like, you'd think they would have, like, you know, a Fedora logo. Nah, they just use the stock KDE splash screen. But here's what disturbed me the most about this whole thing. So if you go to console, and you also have console, you know, whatever, it's a terminal. That's not what really irked me. Ksysguard. This is what really got me, because now it started getting me to ask some questions. Isn't Ksysguard discontinued? If I remember correctly, Ksysguard was discontinued. Because with Ksysguard, it's supposed to be part of a new KDE process. And it's funny because that KDE process is in here, but they haven't gotten it working. It's just System Monitor. And it's just a generic System Monitor that's built into the settings. And it's like, this is what they want people to use. And I know this because this is when I use KDE on Fedora, this is what they installed and not Ksysguard. And Ksysguard isn't packaged in Fedora anymore. They want people to use the normal System Monitor that's like part of KDE 5.25 or whatever. Like, this is what they want people to use. And I just don't understand. It's like, then they also package this, because it's like, oh, but this one doesn't work because it's unsupported, and I'm not quite sure why. So maybe that's why they did it. But if that's true, how come they haven't gotten this one to work? It's because it requires, it's not because it requires, it can't be because it requires System D. On Garuda here, much splash, very much flames. Yeah, but Garuda's kind of, they're kind of a very I don't know, they got the neon funk thing going for them. Ardex is great, but odd at times. But it's like this. It's like the weird task managers are really off-putting. And, you know, I'll give them credit. At least they have Pipewire. Because the first time I looked, I was like, they don't have Pipewire? But nah, they got Pipewire. You do a Pac-Man QS. Yeah, they got Pipewire. It's working just fine. That's okay. They're not totally in the dark. I mean, at least they're getting people Pipewire. But no Wayland out of the box? Really? Really? Are you serious? Well, I understand why they didn't do GNOME, because I believe GNOME you do need to build properly to work with non-system D distros, because GNOME is weird that way. And then with KDE, yeah, basically that's what really irks me about this. No, here's another weird one. All right, you do a Pac-Man QS, and then you look for Linux. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so Linux, the Linux kernel is 6.2.26. Keep that number in mind. Kernel 6.2.26. But if you go to, I think it's packages.archlinux.org. And then you go to Linux, or the base system. Yeah, this is what really irks me. So if you go to, pay attention to this number, 6.2.26, which is the Ardex Linux kernel. But then you go over here, and it's like 6.2.9. What? So basically, they're using an outdated kernel. It's like three like point releases behind. I'm like, really? Is that real? That's kind of disgusting. And I'm pretty sure it's because it's because you can see it says .ardex here. This is their, you know, the Ardex kernel. Or whatever, because it's what's in their own repositories, I think. Like, yeah, it's a problem, and it's like if you're behind on like look at Arch. I mean, Arch here is behind because right now in testing is 6.2.9. I think let me check Fedora. I think Fedora is 6.2.8. Yeah, Fedora is also on 6.2.8. I just haven't updated because I was worried something would break on this day, but it doesn't matter because I'm broke anyway. It doesn't matter what I say. But it's like, this is what I mean by like, you know, you can't just accept like random distributions by random people. And it's like, you need to look at like, do they actually keep stuff updated? And it's like, no. Now granted, you would say, well, you didn't update the system properly. And it's like, I beg to differ, because if I run an update, watch this. Look everywhere on this list, the Linux kernel is not listed here. And it's like, if you can't keep your stuff updated like the Linux kernel on a rolling release distribution, yeah, we're in trouble. Yeah, this is what really bugs me about Ardex. And I'm just like, yeah, no Wayland, no the Linux kernel, some weird fork of the Linux kernel, which I'm not even sure why, because like that's not init system related, is it? So like I can't endorse using Ardex, basically. I can't endorse using Ardex. It's like, if you want a system free distribution, hey, we got I still have to update to the latest kernel, and I'm on 6.2.27. That's 7. I mean, I'm running somewhat on the latest, but no, it could be a little better. But yeah, that's basically Ardex. I was not happy. Also, they ship you I think they ship you, yeah, they ship you Falcon. Huh? Okay, sure, whatever. Kind of Manjaro of them. It is in a way, right? Everyone knows I'm not a fan of Manjaro. I hated Manjaro before it was cool. No one... That video wasn't popular, but I hated Manjaro before Manjaro was cool. I wanted to do more, but an hour got eaten up out of my time because of the thing. Actually, I think I can quickly do one more thing. I think I have time to quickly do one more thing. Here's what we can do. This has actually been ever since that KDE video, it's been a popular request. And the popular request has been, my Manjaro's I'm afraid to upgrade. Easy, here's how you can upgrade. Just use Arch Linux. That's all you have to do. Use Arch Linux and you'll have less problems than you do using Manjaro. I guarantee it. I was like you once. Like years ago when Manjaro was first getting off the ground, I tried them. I tried. And then I stumbled across this funny page on their wiki. I think it's, yeah, wiki.manjaro.org. You go to their wiki. Oh, it's different now. Oh. I've never been here in a long time. I think it's branches. Is it branches? Yeah, yeah, here it is. Switching branches. What they'll do is they'll tell you here how to specifically switch branches on. How many computers do I have? I have a lot of computers. The question is, are they functional? Like, most of them are not. Like, they're not in a good state. Like, my venerable HP ProBook doesn't even work anymore. Because I think the motherboard burnt out on it. You can use Debian, then you're stable and safe, but you shouldn't be using Debian as a desktop operating system. Unless you are, like, willing to acknowledge those drawbacks and you install something like Hunix or whatever. The Hunix patches. Which you can do. I want to do that for a video. It's how to... Specifically, it's not just about Debian, but it's like how to turn your Linux distro into a different Linux distro. I use Manjaro because I have very limited bandwidth and I can't update stuff every single day. Then don't use Manjaro. You just use like Fedora or SUSE. Maybe SUSE, because I think SUSE might be a better fit. The only issue of SUSE is there's definitely more of like a local package limitation, but you should still be using Flatpak or whatever anyway. And you can actually use Snap because they have OpenSUSE does have AppArmor. I believe the default of OpenSUSE Tumbleweed is AppArmor. So you can use Snap and Flatpak. OpenSUSE Leap. Nah, no, you shouldn't be using it. If you thought like Ubuntu was crusty and old, wait till you see OpenSUSE Leap. I remember when I first tried it way back when, it was still using like Linux 3 dot something or something, I forget. It was really old. That was way back when though. Almost... yeah, with SUSE, I'd recommend KDE. Their KDE version is actually pretty good. I mean, again, sometimes XFCE, it's like, see, if low spec machines, I'm kind of at the point where it's like, I've just used, yeah, back to my laptops. Other laptop I have, I talked about it, Brody, it's the Asus E403NA. It's not for sale anymore. It was a cheap computer I bought from a Best Buy, and I was at a Best Buy or Walmart. Some place, it's like I said last time, it's like the people with blue shirts. Yeah, it needs to be some places with people with blue shirts. So I'm assuming Best Buy. Probably wasn't Walmart. And the computer is really old. I got it in like 2017, and I just needed like a cheap portable computer to take with me when I travel. It's basically like a Chromebook that came with Windows instead of Chrome OS. So I had to cough up the Windows tax for a $200 computer, and I was not happy, let me tell you. No, it was $100 for the Windows tax, so I was not happy. But I installed Arch Linux on it, and oh wow, it's working great now. Now it runs Sway. One of the reasons why it runs Fedora with Sway, and one of the reasons why I had to like stop using Arch Linux is because I do have a few specific packages that with Arch Linux I would have to use the AUR, which isn't awful. I'm not against using the AUR, but it's like I have to compile them. And compiling on an Intel Celeron, you know, like the brand that like Intel fears they ruined because people are biased against low spec computers, that really like is not fun. Like it would take like half an hour to compile like certain Rust applications that I need, and it was just frustrating. Whereas you can install an RPM on whatever. I use Deagle's Acer Chromebook as a Deb XFCE for my travel PC. It's weak, but it works well. Running Debian XFCE. Hey, if it works, right? Especially if you're on low end. I mean, you can really sure you can install Sway on. Do you think about buying refurbished laptops? I would recommend just buy a new computer. Your computer is new. and not, because there were was it from Sophos? There were some people who figured out that there were people who just buy old laptops and then extract people's data because they didn't erase it properly from their computers. I think it was from Sophos. Compiling on a Celeron is only to be run by compiling an ISH on an iPhone. I mean, ISH is the problem of, like, it's an emulator of an emulator. And, like, I wouldn't recommend buying refurbished computers because, like, we need to push people forward, and it's like it's like the working with technology is literally dragging people kicking and screaming. Like, I thought it was already like a big hurdle of a task to like force people to use like Windows like 10. Like for the people who were using Windows 7, even though Windows 7 has lost its support status, but I still know 2 people who use Windows 7. I actually know someone who still uses Windows 8, 8.1. And I'm trying to get them to stop because 8.1 ended 3 months ago. So like, it is using technology and trying to explain not just to normal people, but even to like the people who know what they're doing, is like dragging people kicking and screaming into the future. If it works, no need to change. Yeah, see, that's the problem. That's what people are like. They're like, but my thing works, so why would I change? And it's like, it's so bad. And it's like, I think one of the computers at work that we use for like some like check-in stuff, is like, it's still running like Windows. It's still running like a computer that isn't supported by Windows 11. My local town's government's on XP. Well, it depends on which country you're in, because that actually is an issue. Like, if you go to like Korea, there is like, people do need to use XP because of compatibility of older programs. And I think the same with China. Like, there is a problem with compatibility of older versions of Windows, and that's what it's like that train system in China that had like a meltdown because when Adobe killed Flash. What are your thoughts on e-waste? It's like, look, if you have old computers, keep them going, but don't feed to you should still buy a new computer because it's an improvement from what you already have, and especially because of what we're seeing with Windows 11 and the newer Intel and AMD chips. It's like, you need this stuff, like I can't pronounce it, IOMMU protection, because you need that sort of memory protection stuff in Intel chips or like AMD's chips that like are there to protect you. And it's like, or TPM, right? Having like TPM in like newer Intel chips, or like Pluton on like AMD's newest chips. It's like, you need that. Because like, when Windows 11 becomes the default, it's like, it's going to change like everything. It's like, you need to be using, look, you don't be using the latest and greatest stuff for hardware, but you know, just from what I'm seeing and what I'm predicting is Windows 11 is going to be the real, it's sure it's going to boost Linux because like, people are looking at these. Pluton will Luke on Linux? No, but they are working on it. And I can guarantee they want it to work because of AMD's prevalence in the server market. Especially with server farms, because they have all sorts of compliance stuff they need to do to get secure boot to work. But yeah, we need to get, I don't think it works yet. I think it's on like the newest version. Would you force Windows 11? No. If you have non-TPM hardware, it's sorry, bucko, you need to get a new computer if you want to use Windows. And that's why I've never forced Windows 11 on like newer computers. Hey, you jinxed my Fedora KDE ever since your video business fest and whacking wonky. Hey, I didn't do it. That's because you upgraded to 5.27 probably. If you updated to 5.27, of course it's going to get Bismuth to not work. Yeah, that's, now you see what I mean, right? You now get, when you open a new window and then you close that window and an empty video shows up. Rural Canada is still using XP en masse. Yikes. Wait, it's April Fool's Day. Is that a trick? This is a trick? No, but if I can believe it, that sounds pretty believable. That sounds pretty believable. I'm glad that, like, it's funny because I feel like the company I work for has been pushing Windows 11 pretty early, because they started pushing Windows 11 on us last year, end of last year, and most of us are off. So yeah, we need to just do it because Windows 11 is going to change. People need to do it because it's going to change the way, like, the computers people are on. One, it's from Microsoft can artificially boost the sales of the PC market, because the PC market's in shambles because of like the economics and all sorts of stuff. My government uses Ubuntu. Sadly, no. Oh yeah, well, yeah, I guessed as much. Yeah, you basically need to be using Windows 11. It's like, if you're going to be, if you're on Windows 10 right now, it's like you really seriously need to be considering Windows 11. It's like, look, even if you buy a computer next year, which is probably what I'm going to do, or like buy a computer in 2025 when like Windows 11 is in full swing, I just really need to reevaluate what's going to happen with hardware, especially with like global economic problems and like the way like computers are being manufactured now. It's a lot. So like there's also the issue of like what's gonna happen if Microsoft announces Windows 12. Watch like the end of life for like Windows 10, which is in 2025, is going to be Windows 12. So in November, when Microsoft hosts Ignite, they're going to make a thing for like Windows 12. Just watch. Watch that be reality. It's going to like get people so angry. Like IT pros are going to be like so upset. Like if Microsoft announces Windows 12. They're already angry over like what's happening in Windows 11. Like by adding in like, how do I comply with like my software when there's stuff like the Bing Chat GPT search bar. It's like, what do you do? What do you do in that situation? It's like, as an IT director, I don't know. Like, they've held back the update that gives us the Bing Chat in the search bar, which is basically just an ad, by the way. It doesn't even give you Chat GPT. It's just an ad for Bing, as if that search bar wasn't already an ad for Bing. Because like my company was happy to get on board with like the little plugin in Windows 11 that lets you use Teams. But like, I mean, it's funny because like even though like we pay for like a Microsoft 365 Enterprise, they still use like, we still don't use it for like video calls. We do use it for chat, but not for, like, we use it more like Slack. The way most companies use Slack rather than like anything else. What do you think about an AMD Barebone? What's an AMD Barebone? I'm sorry, I'm like a moron when it comes to hardware. Let's look it up. AMD Barebone. I've never heard of this before. Oh, is it just like mini computers? It'd be good for my mother. Actually, that's not true. I've successfully gotten my mom to stop using a computer, and I'm actually very happy. I've gotten her to just use her Google Pixel now, and I'm super happy. I think that's where we want to be. It's like, I feel like with old people, it's like, yeah, well, because my mom is like getting up there in years, and I'm just like, yeah, well, maybe you should just not use a computer. Maybe you should just downsize. Yeah, that's a good term. You're retired, you can downsize. So thankfully she doesn't use anything, like a lot of stuff. Like I know like one of my like my uncles, who's like really old now, is like still using like TurboTax, and it's like, ew, gross. Never mind the other problems that like TurboTax introduces, because like there's a ProPublica article that revealed that like TurboTax has been robbing their like paying customers. Like, but yeah, I'm kind of at the point where I would try to encourage the elderly not to use computers anymore. It's that bad. Like, phones are easier for people to use now. Like, the only people who I will tell to like not use a like phone are like the people who are like super dead set on using something from a computer. TurboTax robs people, surprise people. I mean, there's like a million stories. They've been like called into Congress multiple times. You know, when you're called to Congress, yeah, you made a big oopsie, but you just get a slap on the wrist. Because these companies have already prepared for it. My folks, I got them running on a Think Center, running Linux Mint. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. It's like, I would rather just have not used their computers, because it's like, with their phones, I know they're safer. It's not like they can especially with like on Android and iPhone, there's a lot of like protections against like bad apps and viruses and stuff. And it's like, I would just rather that. There's a lot less that can go wrong. Apple and Google invest a lot of money into making sure that doesn't happen. Not a Linux phone, by the way. Linux phones are like where the Linux desktop was like 10 years ago. Like when I first got started. Like I remember when like people were like so excited about like Linux Mint, and I'm just like, what's this Linux Mint thing people are talking about? It was just like such a new, I didn't understand at all. And that was also when like Linux Mint got hacked, and like I'm like, oh, never mind, I'm just gonna go back to using Windows 7. And then I just kept using Windows 7 for like a long time. Would have been like I was using Windows 7 until like 2016. This is still resisting like, 2 years worth of like Microsoft begging people to use Windows 10. Like there was also I'm probably nostalgic, but like, with Microsoft Defender, like today, used to be Microsoft Security Essentials. Man, that's a throwback. It is 3:20, not quite 4:20, but I need to wrap it up soon. So if anyone has any final words, I do need to actually go. What kind of phone would you recommend? A Google phone or an Apple phone? That's literally all I have to recommend. If you're a normie, get an Apple phone. That's where I'm at right now. Because the problem with like phones is just like, you need a phone that respects your privacy, and it's like, yeah, Google Pixel running Graphene OS, yeah. It's either that, or if you're like, if you know someone's not gonna like be leaving the Google ecosystem, them using a Google phone is still better than them using any other type of Android phone. Like, because like there are so many problems with like Android phones, especially because like there are so many manufacturers that do so many stupid things. I am off. Great time. Take care, everyone. Catch you next time. Oh, thank you. I don't know if I'll do this next time. This was a big mess. Anyone who's around for the first time, it was a big mess. In other words, love your work. Oh, thank you. Yeah, basically, with the iPhone, yeah, just get an iPhone or a Google phone. I said it, I think I slipped that into one video. I was like, you don't like an iPhone? Get an iPhone. It's like everyone got so upset when the Linux experiment made that video about how he was going to use an iPhone because he hated using Android. And I'm just like, it's like people got so upset, and I'm like, why are people upset? He's doing what works for him. Like, it's like he's doing something that works for him. How dare he? It's like, wow. It's so depressing. It's like, I see so many things like that. People like just getting so angry over people's choices, and it's like, but it's like some people want, and it's like, yeah, phones are awful. Don't trust Samsung. Don't trust those Chinese manufacturers. You can't trust like Motorola or like the Fairphone, because the Fairphone has lied to people too. That's the other problem with the Fairphone, is they have lied to people and said like, oh, you'll get years of worth of updates, but what they don't mention is you won't get firmware updates after Qualcomm kills off their chips. So it's like, it's not really like in general. It's just run an Ubuntu Touch. Is that even still around? I remember when those first got started. I was like, that was back when like Windows Phone was a thing. But Windows Phone was already like I knew someone who unironically used the Windows Phone and was like, wow, this is the greatest thing ever. And then I have to like pry it out of his hands. Like when like Microsoft killed off the Windows Phone in like 2019. I was like you have to stop using a Windows Phone. It's like, was it 2019? Whenever they killed off the Windows Phone, that was 2019. Ugh. That's dredged up so many memories. Thankfully, I've never known anyone who's used like the Jala phone or like, was it Jala? No, a Sailfish. Yeah, Sailfish OS or whatever, or those alternative smartphone operating systems. Yeah, but I have to leave. It is around that time. I need to. The Windows Phone sounds like a fantastic idea, but never took off. Like many things at Microsoft, yeah, that sums up Microsoft in a nutshell. A lot of things at Microsoft were like, yeah, that's a great idea. The problem is that Microsoft. That is just a lot of things in the that's a lot of things in the Windows world. It's just Microsoft. There's like a ton in Microsoft that's just like that. It's like, and then yeah, I don't got much else to say. All right, I need to leave. I need to look pretty because I have to go to a family dinner because we are boomers who still celebrate family dinners. Did you know people don't even have dinner together anymore? Oh my gosh. The future is now. All right, well, thank you for coming. I'm glad this has been productive. It's actually pretty nice. I don't actually have to think about content for an hour. Windows 8 Metro UI was the best out of operating systems at the time. Not really. It was still just Windows underneath. Again, Microsoft, and then Microsoft. Yeah, thank you for coming. I'm glad you could all be here. Yeah, I have to go to a family dinner. I have to leave very soon. We're going to be hanging out for a couple of hours. But yeah, thank you for coming. It was nice to have you guys. And I didn't set up the screen properly. I meant to, but I didn't. I didn't set up the screen where it's just like, oh yeah, just click the button and do the thing, and it's like, nah, I didn't do that. Yeah, thanks for coming, everyone. Your support means a lot.